us now here in Los Angeles, Miko Brando, who was with us almost every night after this untimely passing, longtime Michael Jackson friend attending the funeral. And Dave, yes, that's his name, Dave. He was David Rothenberg. He was set on fire in 1983, suffered, as you can see, terrible scars. Michael Jackson befriended him and paid for a lot of his surgeries. Dave is also attending the burial. Why Dave?
Well, to liberate myself from the confines of my father's criminality.
He caused the fire?
Yeah. He is a criminal, and he caused all this. To free myself of his name and his legacy, I decided to become my own person through changing my name.
We'll find out how Michael helped you, but Miko, is that a typical story of Michael helping people like this?
Absolutely. When he would hear about stories of people in need or needed help, and when we watched the news together, he'd reach out to them, send them a basket, send them a note, get well, or whatever the incident would be, and he'd always reach out to people and help people. Even driving around town, he'd stop and help people.
How did he find out about you, Dave?
He heard about me, and he had contacted me and wanted to meet me.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 7 years old at the time.
And were you in the hospital?
I was not in the hospital at the time. I was in interim back and forth from surgery.
And what did he do for you?
Well, basically, he befriended me. He took me into his life, which is very rare for Michael to do. But he opened up his arms to me and accepted me as a very good friend of his. And throughout the years, he never let me go.
I believe that's the hearse carrying the body into Forest Lawn. He will be interred. It looks like a beautiful place to have for him, Miko.
It's very nice. It's a very nice compound.
Yeah, we're going to be showing you close up of that. That is Forest Lawn. Were you surprised, Dave, to hear from him when you were 7?
Oh, it's a very interesting story, Larry. It was kind of the visit to his Encino house was very impromptu, and it was kept a secret by my mother. And I had always been kind of a admirer of his, not a fan per se, but I always loved his music. And my mother surprised me one day and brought me up to Neverland. And I entered an arcade, and there were all these Paul McCartney records all over this, The Girl Is Mine, and, this and that. And I remember sitting down, and at the time, my favorite video game was Pole Position. And I was playing Pole Position, and I felt a little tap on my shoulder, and I turned around, and there was Michael. And you know what, Larry?
What?
At that moment, we embraced, and that embrace never ended throughout our whole entire friendship.
Dave, what don't we know about him we should know?
Well, I believe what people fail to realize is that Michael was a human being. Throughout the years, I think he was kind of stigmatized by the media, and I believe that wasn't really helpful to him or to anybody around him. I believe that Michael was a great person. He has never hurt a soul, and I am happy to have been his friend for all these years and been a dedicated friend.
Miko, how do you explain what Michael did for Dave?
That's just the kind of human being he was. He's very loving, caring. He loved Dave from the day he met him. They became friends. Michael helped him through the years, and that's the kind of person Michael was. I mean, he loved a lot of people. He'll be missed and loved by a lot of people.
Did he pay for a lot of your medicals?
Actually, he did not pay for my medical. My mother had great insurance at the time.
So what did he do?
Michael offered a lot of emotional support for me. He was there for me whenever I needed to talk to him. He opened up Neverland to me as a means to get away. Metaphorically, he was almost like a father that I never had.
Huh. Well said.
My baby on a Saturday, but if I go with you, you never say. Oh, I believe in miracles, and a miracle is happening tonight. If you're thinking about my baby, it don't matter if you're black or white. My baby on a Saturday, but if I go with you, you never
Michael Jackson is another person totally with the mask.
I don't know how we expect to go to the movies, but you know what I'm saying? Like, this is Michael Jackson. Like, how the hell are we gonna actually go to the movies? So you grab the kids. They looking normal. Mike comes out. He has his disguise on, you know. So I starts laughing because I didn't even recognize him, you know. Sometimes I forget that he's supposed to be in his disguise, you know. And I keep calling him Mike. So when I realized she was peeping, then I start calling him Dave. Dave.
Hello all, this is Dave. How are you? Our world has come to an interesting point in an interesting time. This is a very interesting project we're working on. I want to thank each and every one of you for your overwhelming support. May God bless you. I love you. Good night.
Thank you very much for all of your support, and may God bless you all. I love you. Goodbye.
I believe that I lost a person in my life, but at the same time, I gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. To his Encino house.
I think I was at the Encino house.
To his Encino house.
I think I was at the Encino house.
To his Encino house.
I think I was at the Encino house.
Encino house.
The Encino house.
You gonna fire one yet, or? Would you like to say a few words to your fans, Michael? Anything else?
Happy to be here.
How does it feel to be meeting the royalty tonight?
Very exciting.
Pepsi and Michael have had now through a lot of great lost things together. But the best kinds of things we do is don't disadvantage you. So both of us, like I said, this Princess Trust and Great Western Street Hospital. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Got it. I hope so. At least well, I asked why we did it in dollars instead of pounds. They said the dollar was rising now, so get a little bit more.
So far, this is very handy. No, this is from my soul.
In a recent G8 meeting in Rome, the leaders of the world discussed the passing of Michael Jackson with President Obama. Correcting Italy's Silvio Berlusconi, there was no question about where President Obama is standing on this issue.
He said the best, not one of the best.
No, ne le flatte pas. What was his reaction to the death of Michael Jackson?
I talked to him about it this morning. Look, he said to me that obviously Michael Jackson was a spectacular...
Historically, U.S. presidents from both parties welcomed Michael Jackson to the White House, starting with President Carter. In 1984, President Reagan invited Jackson to the White House to thank him for supporting a campaign against drunk driving.
President of the United States, Mrs. Reagan, and Mr. Michael Jackson.
Well, isn't this a thriller? I'm delighted to see all of you here today. We haven't seen this many people since we left China.
He is totally opposed to drugs and alcohol and is using his popularity to influence young people against them. That's what Reagan wrote in his diary at the time.
One of the most talented, most popular, and most exciting superstars in the music world today.
The first
Michael
President
Jackson.
Bush also complimented Jackson, appearing with him in the Rose Garden in 1990, and noting that Jackson had received a humanitarian award from the Capitol Children's Museum.
I just wanted to...
Jackson sang "Heal the World" at President Clinton's first inaugural gala in 1993. President Obama mentioned the great joy that Michael Jackson brought to a lot of people through his extraordinary gifts as an entertainer.
Michael Jackson will go down in history as one of our greatest entertainers. I grew up on his music. Still have all his stuff on my iPod. I think that his brilliance as a performer also was paired with a tragic and in many ways sad personal life. But I'm glad to see that he is being remembered primarily for the great joy that he brought to a lot of people through his extraordinary gifts as an entertainer.
Before his death, Michael Jackson became a symbol of resistance for the Iranian post-election movement. And it's also reported that he was about to engage the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-il, an assumed-to-be fan, to help free 2 American journalists imprisoned in North Korea.
So many people are on television that don't know me, and they're like experts on me. You know, when Michael Jackson died, I knew him very well, and everybody was talking about Michael Jackson. They didn't know him. Well, one thing about Michael Jackson, he lived in Trump Tower. And I see your show all the time, Michael Jackson. Every night you have Michael Jackson, blah, blah, blah. You know, 15 years ago, I went to Madison Square Garden, and I watched Michael Jackson perform and do the moonwalk across the stage. And I said, I don't think I've ever seen anything. There was no entertainer like him. He lives in various of my buildings. I mean, he sort of follows me around in the sense of he likes what I have.
Well, I know him very well. He's lived in my buildings.
Perfect gentleman. We never had one problem. He's a friend of mine. I mean, he's a good guy. You know, he's a little different.
Badly.
Well, he's gone through a lot.
I'm going to stick up for him because nobody else is, but I don't believe it.
Michael was a great friend of ours, actually. And he lived in Trump Tower for a long period of time. And he was a sweet guy, special guy. He was with me many, many times, at Mar-a-Lago in particular, in Palm Beach. And so many unbelievable weekends took place with Michael, especially in Palm Beach.
Kennedy Jr. and his connection to Donald Trump in the plan, as well as various other coded messages, has been hidden inside of past events. Is it possible that we have missed one of the biggest revelations of Q? That Michael Jackson and Donald Trump are connected? Did Donald Trump and QAnon help Michael Jackson to fake his death to escape the Illuminati death sentence and to ultimately join the alliance by providing insight and revelation into the pedophile satanic network of the elite? Michael Jackson was a child star that grew up in the entertainment industry. What did he know? What did he share with Trump? Is Michael Jackson alive, working alongside Trump and JFK Jr. and QAnon to destroy the Illuminati? This video will open your eyes to many things. Do your own research and judge for yourself. But in the words of Q, how many coincidences before it is mathematically impossible? Future will prove the past. Before Michael Jackson died, he attempted to break away from his Illuminati handlers and Sony Records. He went on the offense, openly condemning the company and its CEO, Tommy Mottola, as a devil. Michael also sent a coded message that Sony wanted to kill him. Michael appears fearless, as though he is being protected by an elite force from this satanic cult. Because most entertainers would never openly challenge the Illuminati, was Trump and QAnon protecting Michael as they did JFK Jr. 10 years earlier? Michael also revealed that he was able to outsmart Sony with a crafty business strategy and was leaving a free agent and owning half of Sony Records, a multi-billion-dollar company. Was Donald Trump guiding him to victory? As Michael walked off the stage, he sent a bold threat to the devil, Tommy Mottola, claiming that the executive will be terminated, and makes a bold prediction that the best was yet to come. Was Michael talking about the storm?
The tradition of great performers and I really want you to hear what I have to say. The tradition of great performers from Sammy Davis Jr. to James Brown to Jackie Wilson to Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. The story is usually the same though. You know, these guys work really hard at their craft, but the story ends the same. They usually are broken, torn, and usually just sad. And the story is very sad in the end. Sony, being the artist that I am at Sony, I've generated several $1 billion for Sony, several billion, and they really thought that my mind is always on music and dancing, and it usually is, but they never thought that this performer myself would outthink them.
Yeah!
So I'm leaving Sony a free agent, owning half of Sony. So I own half of Sony's publishing, and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it. But I just did good business, you know.
Tell him! Tell him, Michael! Tell the story!
But, so, the way they get revenge is to try and destroy my album. And Tommy Mottola is a devil. I'm not supposed to say what I'm going to say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret.
Say it!
Please don't videotape what I'm going to say, okay? Turn that off, please. No, what? I don't mind. Tape it.
Michael is getting gangster today! Yeah.
Mariah Carey, after divorcing Tommy, came to me crying. She was crying so badly I had to hold her. And she said to me that this is an evil man. And Michael, this man follows me, she said. He taps her phones. And he's very, very evil, and she doesn't trust him. And he is a horrible human being. And we have to continue our drive until he's terminated.
Oh! There you go!
We can't allow him to do this to great artistry. We just can't. I just want you to know I appreciate everything you've done. You've been amazing. You're so loyal, Diana. Everybody, Waldo, all the people here, I love you all. You've been amazing.
Thank you!
I love you. But still, I promise you, the best is yet to come.
Sony will soon own the full rights to some of the biggest names in music. Maribel Abers joining us live from the NASDAQ market site in New York with details on this deal. Maribel, good morning.
Good morning, Owen. This deal has Sony buying out Michael Jackson's stake in music publisher Sony ATV. Now, the company will pay the estate of the late pop singer $750 million in the deal. Sony ATV is the world's largest music publisher, and it controls songs such as the Beatles' All You Need Is Love. It also represents copyrights of musicians such as Bob Dylan, Queen, and the Rolling Stones.
In a recorded interview with the son of legendary singer James Brown, he explained how Michael Jackson and James Brown talked about getting out of the Illuminati and that they had made a deal with the devil for the fame and the fortune that they had received. Understanding that the only way to get out of the Illuminati is by death, is it possible that Donald Trump and Q helped Michael to fake his death in exchange for information and testimony about the pedophile satanic cult in the music industry?
No, we got a lot to talk about the music, but first I want to get back to the Michael. You mentioned Michael Jackson, and MJ obviously derived so much from your father, and he loved your father to the point that he spent an hour alone with him after he passed away.
It was 2 hours. Yeah. He was so close to my father till, everything he did was because of what my father taught him. Mm-hmm. To the last time he came out, he was talking about Sony and different things, He called my dad before that. Because both of them had talked about getting out. Now, whatever that is, getting out. They were tired of it,
And this goes. You think this goes back to the ownership of
the brand, the crossroads, the selling of your soul, all kind of things that happen.
So now, going back to who was it that wrote? That did the song "I Sold My Soul to the Devil"?
I know you're talking about Robert
the blues singer. Robert Johnson, right?
Yeah.
And his whole deal with the devil, and then do you think that is real in the music business?
Very much. I mean, it's very much real.
This is where the story gets creepy. Long time